When Daniel Reeves bought the house, everyone told him it was a steal. The property sat at the edge of a quiet town called Ravenwood, surrounded by tall trees and narrow roads that rarely saw traffic. The price was far below market value, and the listing had been online for months without a single serious buyer. Daniel didn't see the problem. He was recently divorced, looking for a fresh start, and the house seemed perfect. 2 floors, a basement, a large backyard facing the woods, quiet, private. Exactly what he wanted. The real estate agent, Linda Rogers, seemed eager to close the deal. Too eager. When Daniel asked why the price was so low, she hesitated for just a moment before answering. "It's been difficult to sell," she said. "Some people just don't like the location." Daniel signed the papers anyway. The first night in the house was calm. Almost too calm. No traffic noise. No neighbors. Just silence. But around 2:00 a.m., Daniel woke up suddenly. Not from a dream. From the sound of movement downstairs. Slow footsteps. Careful. Deliberate. Daniel sat up in bed, listening. The footsteps stopped. He waited. Nothing. He told himself it was just the house settling. Old homes made noise. That was normal. Still, he didn't fall back asleep. Over the next few days, strange things began to happen. Doors he was sure he had closed were open again. Lights in rooms he hadn't entered were turned on. Once, he came home to find the basement door unlocked, even though he never used the basement. He checked the locks. Everything was secure. One afternoon, while unpacking boxes, Daniel noticed something odd about the hallway. There was a section of wall that didn't match the rest of the house. The paint was newer. The floorboards beneath it didn't creak like the others. It looked sealed. That night, curiosity got the better of him. He pressed his ear against the wall. At first, he heard nothing. Then faintly breathing. Daniel stepped back, his heart racing. The next morning, he went into town and asked a neighbor about the house. The man went quiet. "That place?" the neighbor said. "I thought it was still empty." Daniel explained he had just bought it. The neighbor shook his head slowly. "They told us it was never supposed to be sold." Daniel laughed nervously. "What does that mean?" The neighbor leaned closer. "The last owner disappeared. No body. No explanation. After that, people stopped asking questions." That evening, Daniel searched public records. Strangely, the house history stopped 10 years ago. No sales. No ownership changes. Just a gap. As if the house had been erased. That night, the footsteps returned. This time, they were closer. Daniel stood at the top of the stairs, watching the darkness below. He turned on the lights. Nothing. But as he turned to go back to bed, he heard a voice. Low, calm. Right behind him. "You weren't supposed to be here." Daniel spun around. No one was there. The next morning, he called Linda Rogers. She didn't answer. Her office phone was disconnected. Her email bounced back. It was as if she never existed. Determined to leave, Daniel began packing. But when he tried to unlock the front door, the key wouldn't turn. The windows wouldn't open. His phone had no signal. That night, the sealed wall in the hallway began to change. Cracks appeared. By midnight, the wall gave way, revealing a narrow room behind it. Inside were old furniture, dust-covered photographs, and newspaper clippings. All about the house. Disappearances. Missing persons. Every owner who tried to leave. At the center of the room was a message carved into the wall: THISHOUSEISNOTFOUSALE. The lights went out. Daniel felt hands on his shoulders. The next morning, the house was quiet again. Weeks later, the property listing reappeared online. New photos, fresh paint, a new low price. And under the description, one simple line: perfect for a fresh start. If you enjoy dark mysteries, abandoned places, and stories that feel a little too real, this episode is for you. Subscribe for more weekly stories filled with fear, tension, and the unknown.